Hi, I'm Sally and this is the tutorial for my rocking horse design. You will need, for this design, a main body colour, which I'm going to use brown, same as I have done in this one, a colour for its mane and for the end of the tail, which I've used tan, and then a colour for the rocker bit. You'll need 8 clear bands and 3, I think, black bands for the eye and for the hooves down here. So let's get started. So taking your loom in a staggered configuration, you're going to place it, sorry, my mind has gone blank, going to leave it as it is, sorry. So we're going to start by making the neck. So going to take double brown band, so 2 brown bands together, and then going down on one side here. We're going to go down for a total of 3 times, like so. Going to do the same down the centre, so we're going down 3 times. And 3. So it looks like this. We're going to place a cap band on the end here and here. So taking a single band, we're going to wrap it around the pin 3 times. Same on this pin here. Oh, bands are all stuck together. Okay, so just wrapping it around 3 times. That's 2 and 3. Now we're going to make the mane. So here, so whatever colour you want to use for this bit, we're going to take 3 bands of whichever colour you're using, and we're going to place them along, just going down once. So they're not attached, they're just completely separate. We're going to do this a total of 4 times, but so they're all separate. So leave a gap and then another 3, and then leave a gap, and then you're doing another 3. Same again, like so. So you've got 4 lots of 3 bands all separately along your loom. We're going to take a single band of the same colour, and you're going to either thread it through, or you can use your hook. So with your hook, I'll show you because it's easier for you to see if I use my hook. So you place your hooks, you're going down through the top of the bands and then out to the side, taking the single band on your hook, and you're just pulling it through. Take the other end of the band onto your hook, and then the top band, so the band that's closest to the hand you're holding the hook with, take over the other band and over the end of your hook and pull, and that'll make a slip knot and it'll tie them all together. So we're going to do the same on the other 3. So hook through, single band, and then tie it off. And the idea for this I got from another design by, I think it was Loom's Designs. I think it may not have been, actually thinking about it. It could have been someone else. But anyway, it was a design of a Muppet, of animal. So whoever did that design, this is who came up with this. So that's where I got the idea from. On my sheep design that I've done, and my Mr. Messy, I haven't tied it, I've left them just so you've got the 2 ends of the bands. This one's slightly different, as we'll need to cut the band. So if they were just looped through and not tied, they'll just pull through and come out, whereas if you tie them, it makes them a little bit more secure. You can now remove these little clusters bands from your loom, and we're going to attach them to these pins here. So all 3 of these pins. So you're just going to take the band that you used to tie it off with, and you're going to wrap this around the pin as if it was a cap band. So just hold on to the three bands that you tied together. Just wrap this around 3 times around the pin. I'm sorry if my hand gets in the way. It's a little bit tricky to do. So I'm going to have to get my hands in the way, I think. So as you can see, it's wrapped around the pin there. And so you've got these on the outside of your loom. I'm going to do the same on these 3 pins. And actually, you can remove the cap band off of this end pin, as the bands that you're wrapping around will act as a cap band anyway on that pin, so you won't need them. So I'm just going to carry on and wrap these around. Just hold wherever you need to hold to get it on. So band that you tied with, and we're wrapping this around 3 times. And just finding the band that I've used to tie off with and holding it on and wrapping it around. Slightly easier because it's right on the end. There we go. So this is what it should look like. You should have your little clusters of 3 bands attached to your loom here. We're going to add on some horizontal bands to hold this design together. And this isn't black, it's a very, very dark brown that seems to be in with these sort of other brown colours. So I'm just going to use it so it doesn't show so much. And we're going to double this over. So take your band, stretch it out, cross it over like a figure of 8, and then just wrap it back around your fingers. And we're putting this across the bottom 2 pins. And we're doing this on these 2 pins here and these 2 pins here. So you'll have a total of 3 bands, and they're all doubled back onto themselves. Like so. Just be careful not to catch any of these little loops into the horizontal bands or when you're looping. And once it looks like this, we can loop. So you're going inside the horizontal band and inside the cap band, taking the bottom 2 bands, pulling them around the pin and looping them forwards. We're doing this all the way up to the end, so just move all other bands out of the way and just loop forward the bottom 2. Same one here, push the main out of the way, those bands, just the bottom 2, and loop forward. Again, push horizontal and main bands out of the way, the bottom 2, pull forwards, and the same one here, like so. So that's what it should look like. We're going to remove this and place it down the end of our loom. We're going to make the head, and we're going to add this into the head just to make it a little bit more consistent. So actually what we will do is add a band through this pin here. So I'm going to use the same colour as my main here, so it'll blend in with the main. And I'm just going to show you that again. I get a bit carried away and I forget that I need to show you what to do. So you're taking your hook and you're placing it in through this top pin here on the side that's got this band on it, straight through to the bottom, and push it through and out the other side. And I'm just adding a single band, the same colour as my main, onto it and just putting it back through. This will just help to hold all the bands on that pin together when you remove it. Otherwise, when you take it off, you'll find that this will just unravel. Sorry, you can't see, I'm a bit too low on the camera. There we go. This will just unravel when you take it off, and it'll be an absolute nightmare to put back on to the head. So we have a band here to hold all of that together that we can use to attach it. So just take those off there. And then just placing your hook through the top centre pin. Just take off all of the bands that are on there. So when you've got your bands on, so you should have 4 bands of your body colour, so brown in my case, 2 of the main colour, and I'm just going to remove this from the loom carefully. so as not to break any bands. And there is your horse's neck. It looks like that. Okay, we're going to pop this down the bottom of our loom now, just out the way, while we make the head. So you can just place it wherever you like. Okay, and then placing our loom sideways, as I said, we're going to make a star on the head. So we're going to add a single band of your body colour, and we're just going to drape it loosely over this centre pin. Taking 2 bands, same as your body colour, so brown, if you're doing the same as me, and we're pulling them diagonally, but we're doing it quite steeply. So it's going from the centre first pin to the side second pin. We're going to do the same on the other side. Oops. Like that. And then we're going to go along the top of our loom 3 times with 2 bands. Like so. Same along the other side. And then along the centre we are going to go 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times down the centre, again with 2 bands. Some of these brown bands in this pack come out very, very dark. They almost look black. Very weird, but never mind. They all do the same thing and it will blend in, so it's fine. So this is what you have now. You've placed all of the bands on. It's going to take another 2 bands and place them diagonally from the centre to the side, like so. Same this way. So that's the basic shape of your horse's head. We're going to make the ear. So again, taking 2 bands, and we are just leaving a gap. So this is completely independent of the body at the moment. We'll add it on in just a second. So you're taking 2 bands and we're going down twice. Down our loom, like this. We're going to cap it on this pin here. Like so. And we're going to loop it up, so pushing the cap band back. Taking the bottom 2 bands, so looping forwards, bottom 2 bands and looping forwards. You can remove this. And this is going on in place of a cap band, so I'm just going to straighten this out because that band I've just capped it off with has gone a bit curly. So I'm just evening those bands out. I'm going to place it on this pin here, as I said, instead of a cap band. So just popping that around there like that. Angle it if you wish. Okay, so push that down. We're now going to add on the neck. So again, remove this the same way as you removed it initially. So just take it on your hook, like so. And we are placing the 4 bands of the body colour on this bottom pin here, underneath the ear here, bottom. So you just stretch them out and place them over. And the 2 bands that you have, that I've used my main colour for, the colour of my main, not my main body colour, I'm just putting over on top the pin on top of the ear, like so. So it looks like this. So you have the ear on this centre pin, and then you have the neck on these 2 pins here. So the 4 bands of the body colour are down here, and then the 2 of the main colour are on here. You just need to add in the horse's eye, which we're going to do as we loop. So what we will need to do before we start to loop is to wrap it around our hook. And what we will do is, as we loop up, we will slide it onto the bands that it needs to be slid onto. So just taking a single band around your hook, and you're just twisting it and just wrapping it around your hook 3 times. So it should look like this, and this is just going to stay on your hook, so just slide it out of the way and I'll tell you when to put it on. I'm going to add on some horizontal bands as well, some triangle bands. This just holds the whole design together and stops one row from floating off one way and separating, and the other one going the other way, and then you just get the centre one just in the middle looking a little bit daft. So this just holds them all together and makes it more solid. So my triangle band is here, and it goes around the 3 pins in a triangle shape. Okay, I'm going to place another one on, like so, above it. And we're going to add in 2 more, so you've got 4 triangle bands in total. So it should look like this. Now we can begin to loop. So we're going to start by going in through this very end pin just here, where you've got your ear, and you're going to have to push all of these bands from the ear and the mane out of the way and find the top 2 bands, which is definitely easier said than done. So if it's easier for you to find one at a time, then do, and you're just hooking that around the pin that they've come from. Doing the same again, pushing those bands out of the way, finding the top 2, looping them from whichever pin they've come from, so mine are going up towards the top, and the last 2 loop forwards and mine go forwards. We're going to add on the eye next, so you're taking the next 2 in the centre and you're just sliding these wrap bands over those 2, so it looks, if you can see, like this, and then you can just loop it forward as you normally would, and you have your eye just sitting here. Now I'm going to carry on, and I'm going to loop along this bottom edge up to the horse's nose. So you're going in through the neck, pushing all the bands out of the way, just finding the bottom 2, and all of my bands have just slid off of my pin. So I'm just going to have to reattach those. Okay. Slight disaster moment. I've lost my triangle band as well, so I'm just going to pull that back. Hopefully yours is less catastrophic and everything's going well for you, in which case just continue looping forwards. I'm sorry if I go off camera slightly, but I just need to find these 2 bands. There we go. And looping forwards. Like so. So moving all the triangle bands out the way, just looping the bottom 2 and going in through here and pulling that diagonally back up to where it came from. Okay. Going to continue down the centre, so we've done the eye, and I'm just going to carry on, just looping forwards like so. Going to do along the top of the horse's head, bottom 2 bands, looping forwards. Triangle bands get pushed out of the way, just with the back of your hook, and forwards. So this is what you should have just before you take it off of your loom. This band here that we added, first of all, we're going to use to tie it off with. So if I just angle it for you. So you're going down in through this very top middle pin, finding that single band, pulling it around and placing the other end of the band on your hook, and then this top band here is getting pulled right over the end of your hook, so over the other band and over the end of the hook, and then just pull it very carefully so as not to snap your band, to secure it. Once it's secured, you can remove this from your loom. Oops. Like so. Make sure that this band is secure and is as tight as you can get it without snapping. Adjust the horse's ear if you need to, and we're just going to hide this band in the back of the horse's face. Okay, so just take your hook, just through some of the bands in the back of the head, like so. So mine goes like this, taking the band that you've used to tie off with and just pull it through. Got another band on my hook now. Oops, it's that one. Just put it through, and you can just repeat this until it's completely hidden. So there we have our horse's head. We're going to now make the legs. So just place the head to one side, getting back your loom. We're only making 2 legs rather than 4 because this is a 2D design, so you'll be able to see here that you've only got the 2 legs attached to the rocker. So to make the legs, we're going back to the body colour, and I will be making both legs with you. You won't need to pause and make another one like I have done on previous tutorials. So we're taking 3 bands, whichever colour you want to use. Again, I'm using brown, and we're going down twice with 3 bands to give the sort of chunkier thigh part of the leg. We're going down twice with 2 bands just to help to taper it out so it's not chunky all the way down to the hoof. And then we're going to add in 5 bands that are single and also doubled like we did on the horizontal bands when we made the neck, and you're just placing them going down your loom, and this is the thinner part of the horse's leg. Okay, so just cross them over, double them back around your fingers and place them on, double, and one more. Like so. This is what you should have. So I'll go over what we've done again. So you've got 2 lots of 3 bands together, 2 lots of 2 bands together, and then 5 bands, single bands that have doubled over. Okay, sorry, you can see. There we go. I'm going to place a band around here, and we're not adding this as a normal cap band. I'm going to take a single black band, I'm going to stretch it out, and again I'm going to double it around my fingers. I'm going to place it over this end pin where normally you would cap it, and I'm just going to double it round like so, and then I'm going to loop this up, and then we're going to do the exact same thing again. So pushing the cap band out the way, taking the bottom band, and we're just looping forwards all the way up. So taking either the bottom doubled band or the bottom 2, bottom 3, depending on which part you're at. Like so. You can remove this and put it at the base of your loom to be added on later. So there we have a horse's leg, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. Okay, so again, 2 lots of 3 bands, so 3 there and 3 here, 2 lots of 2 bands, so 1 2, and then 5 bands doubled, and then placing on the black cap band. So stretch it out and double it over, and we're just placing it around here. So you just place it around, cross it over and double it back onto itself like so. And again we're going to loop up. And I know I keep swapping hooks, it's just whichever one comes to hand first. There's no real reason behind it. If the bands are quite tight, then generally I use a slightly smaller hook. And if it's just normal looping forwards, I'll use a slightly bigger one. But to be honest, I like the colour of this one better. It's sort of a lilac-y colour, it's nice. Okay, so looping forward, removing this from your loom. Straighten it out if you need to. Popping it down the bottom. Down here. So we have 2 horses' legs, which looks a little bit weird just on their own, I have to say. But they won't be on their own for long. We're now going to make the tail. So again, this is doubled bands. So we're stretching these out, doubling them over, and we're going down 6 times down our loom. There are sort of a lot of little bits that you need to make before you can make the main design, but once they're made, it's not too bad. Not too much longer, I promise. There we go. So that's 4 and 5, 6, and again we're going to have to make the end of the tail. So I'm going to use the same colour as I used for my mane, this sort of tanny colour, caramelly colour. So we're doing it in the exact same way with the 3 bands, and we're going to make 4 of these. So going down once, twice, so 3 bands all the way down. Just going to come this side, it's slightly easier if it's on the outside of the loom. And again, single band, we're going through 3 and hooking it through, placing it over and then pulling it tight. Oops. Going through. Okay, the more I think about it, the more I think it wasn't Marlene's. I'm sure it was, but I know there's someone else, I think there's someone else who does the Muppet designs that came up with this. I will have to check, because if nothing else it will bug me. But whoever did come up with this design, whether it was Marlene's or not, then credit to them for this part of the design, I guess. So there we go. So we have our 4 little clusters. So again, you can take these off. We're going to add these around the end of our tail instead of a cap band. So as you put them on, you need to angle them so they sort of fan outwards. So again, sorry if my hands get in the way. I'll try and show you first of all here before it gets a bit messy. So I'm putting this one at sort of a 90-degree angle to start with, and you're just going to wrap it around as if it were a cap band. But I find that some of the loops do ping off, so that's why I'm all hands on this one. And then again, as you put it on, just move it around slightly so it's more sort of 45 degrees, I guess. And then loop it around again, and just keep doing it, just so you get a fanned sort of effect, like so. And again, so this one's sort of more straight. Two. I'm just going to wrap that one twice because the bands are getting quite tight around this pin, and it won't matter if they're a little bit loose on the tail. And this one's coming right over the other side, so it's on the inside of the loom. And I'm just going to wrap this one around twice. It's entirely up to you how many times you wrap it around. The more times you wrap it around, the tighter it will be, but it will also be harder to loop this band. But in the finished design, excuse me, they'll be tighter at the end of the tail, so it's entirely up to you with whether you want to have them looser on here so it's easier to loop them, but have them a little bit looser on the tail. It's up to you. So I've sort of done a bit of a mixture. And I'm going in through this pin now. I'm going to loop it up, and I'm going to have to tilt it or I'm never going to be able to see these bands at the bottom. And you just want to find those bottom two bands, or one band doubled. And you want to pull them up and loop them forwards, and that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. If you do find that the bands around this pin are very tight, you can take your hook and you can just run it around the inside of the bands like so, and it will help to loosen them up and hopefully stop your bands from snapping, instead of you just at them pulling and then it breaks, because it's very annoying when that happens and you have to fiddle around and sort it out, especially when there's only one band there. You can't really get around it any other way. So I've looped the tail up. Again, I'm going to remove this and place it down the bottom with the legs. If I can. So there we have our tail, like so. What I am going to do as well, as you know, if you think you're going to have difficulty in getting the doubled band over the pin when we need to add it on, you can add in another, just a single band. So I'll show you how to do it in theory. I'm not actually going to do it, but I will sort of try and demonstrate how. So if you place your band over the end of your hook like so, you can thread this and just pull it over onto the band, and you can use that to attach it if you think that will be easier for you. But on this one I'm just going to leave it as it is, because for me it's generally not too bad, but it's entirely up to you. And if you think you're going to struggle, there's no point in struggling. So we now have our head with a neck, which is always good. We have two legs and a tail. So we're going to make the extension piece, and the extension piece will give your horse a rounded back here. So as you may be able to see, there's 4 rows, and obviously the loom only has 3. So we're going to make a short extension just to add on the top here, and then we can make the body. So we're just taking 2 bands, and we're just going to go down 4 times on our loom. Like so. So that's 3 and 4 and, oh dear, 5. Sorry, 4, not 5, 4. Seem to have lost the ability to count then for a second. And then what we're going to do is, again, we're going to double our band round, and we're just going to place this band, this doubled band, over the last pin here. We're going to do the same on here and here and here. So you've got 4 pins with a little singled doubled band on. And what these will do is, once we've made the body, we need to add this on. These will be the bands that we use to attach this chain to the rest of our horse. And I will try and explain how to do that as best I can. It's a little bit awkward and a little bit fiddly, but it's only a short one, so it's not too bad. So once you've added on your doubled bands on these 4 pins, we're going to loop up. So just treat these as if they were all cap bands, so you're just pushing them out the way with your hook and just taking the bottom 2 bands. You will more than likely need to hold on the first doubled band, because I've never managed to do it without holding it, so they always come off for me. And we're just looping forwards, going inside the bands. So you've still got the double bands on the pins. We can remove this, and as you will see, you've got little circle bands in there, like so. And we're going to add this to the end of our loom with the tail and the legs, just for a moment. Okay, now we can make a start on the body. So we are going to take 2 bands and place them just over the end here. We're going to go diagonally, but not as steep as we did with the face, like this, and same on the other side, like this. I'm going to turn my loom this way, so hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And we're going to go down this side, or this side, we're going to do the same on both, 6 times, again, with 2 bands. So 1, 2, 3, 6, as I said before, same down the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's prove I can count, 5, and 6, like so. Now we're going to go down the centre 7 times, I believe. 7 times. Either way, we're going to end on this pin here that's diagonally one below where we finished the sides. So you're just going straight down. Again, with 2 bands of whatever colour you're using for your body. As you can see, mine's brown, and it's quite a nice brown actually. It's sort of a reddy brown. I think it's quite a nice colour for a horse, as far as horse colour goes. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 7 times down the centre. So you have like this. You're going to close off this design. So we're going to place 2 bands diagonally here and 2 bands across here. So this is what you should have, like this. And now we can start to add on all of our different parts of our horse. So we're going to start with the most difficult bit and get that out of the way. So we're going to add on the extension. So just remove it from your loom. So you have it on your hook with the 4 bands on the top. And these bands are going to go around the second pin that is at the top of your loom. So I turn it around so it's at the bottom, obviously, just to make things really, really crystal clear. So this will be the top of my horse. And if you stretch it out, like you saw when we took it off, you've got these little circles. Just take 1/2 of the circles, 2 bands, on your hook and just loop them around the next pin down. So then you take the next little circle and you loop that around the next pin down, and you're just working down your loom and down the extension piece. Sorry if my hair's getting in the way. So there we go, and then that loop goes over there. So this is what it should look like, and it's going between the second pin and then you've got the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then the last loop is around the 6th pin. So it's like that. So you've got a loop around each of these pins. Okay. I'm going to add on the tail next. So removing it again from the bottom of your loom, placing it just here, and this is going to be in place of a cap band. So angle it if you wish, like so. Next is the legs. So again, taking them one at a time, we're going to add the first one on the 3rd pin at the bottom of your loom. So again, just stretch out those bands, place them over, and you want to place these at a slight angle, so the leg that is nearest the front leg is pointing out like this, and the back leg will point this way. It's a very technical way of showing which way, and that's going around there. So the back leg is going around the 5th pin down. So you've got this one angling out towards this side, this one angling this side, so that when it's on the rocker, it will just look more natural and a bit better. So we go. So this is what you should have so far with the extension, the tail, and the 2 legs. Adding on the neck. So taking your neck, and at the bottom of your neck here, you should be able to see that there's a band, like 2 bands just at the bottom of here, and this was the band that we doubled and placed across the 2 cap bands on the neck. Just pull this out, and we're placing it around these 2 pins here, so the top one here, so the first top and the first centre, and you're placing them right around those 2 pins. So you can use your hook or you can use your fingers, as long as it gets on there, whatever way is easiest. Okay, so there is our horse's head, and it's a bit wobbly, but it will be more secure when it's all looped up. We're going to add on some triangle bands again. So the first one is going above where you've got the tail on these 3 pins, like so, and then we're placing one directly above that. The next one is going to cover the bottom leg, so you may need to push it down. So it's going across the bottom leg, then over the tummy, over the front leg, and then the last one is going just in front of the front leg. Like so. So this is what you should have, and I have a total of 6 triangle bands here. Once you're at this stage, we can start to loop up. So taking your hook, you're going inside the tail, and you're pushing it back, and you're getting the top 2 bands, looping them from whichever pin they've come from. Then same again, going inside, getting the next 2 bands and looping them from where they've come from, and then taking the last 2 bands and looping them wherever they've come from. I went forwards. So you have this sort of design here. I'm going to loop along the sort of underside, bottom side of the horse. So push back all bands and just get the bottom 2, loop them forward. Move the triangle band out the way, bottom 2, loop forward. Moving the triangle band and the leg, you can pull the leg around, horse doesn't mind, won't feel a thing, and loop forward, and just do the same all the way up, like so. And then the last one goes diagonally. I'm going to go along the centre row. This is the easiest row of all 3 of them on this design. Looping all the way up. And we're going along where we've got the extension piece. So again, just the bottom 2, you're pushing all of the bands out of the way. Okay, whether it's triangle band or part of the extension, the tail, the legs, the neck. You're just pushing them all out of the way and getting the bottom 2 bands and nothing else gets looped. Okay, just make sure when you're looping that this mane doesn't get caught up. We're going inside the neck, leaving that band there, just the bottom 2, and looping forwards. Okay, so when the body is all looped up like this, we can tie it off, and we're taking this band here, or these 2 bands here that we put on first of all, taking your hook down the first pin here, pushing all of these bands out of the way, just finding those 2 bands, pulling them around as if you were to loop forwards. Mine have got caught up, so I'm just going to sort that out. And there's a noisy aeroplane outside, if you can hear that. That's what that noise is. Okay, and we're just going to take these 2 bands here and pull them over the end of your hook, pull forwards and tighten it. And once you have done that, you can remove your horse from your loom because it's secure. Just keep going. If you find it easier and you prefer to just pull the horse or push off whatever design you're making straight off, then that's entirely your choice. So make sure that these 2 bands here are secure. We're going to hide these bands now because you won't need them. If you do want to be able to hang up your design once it's finished, you can just place your hook through a couple of the bands on the horse's back in the centre and just pull a band through there, and you can use that, knot it, and then you can use that for hanging it. This actually would make a really rather good, but how English should I sound then? Really rather. This would make a good Christmas tree decoration. And I am English. It just sounded extremely English just then. Stereotypically English, I guess. Okay, so you just, I think I just did that without actually explaining what I was doing. I do apologise. Right, what I did with this band here that I used to tie it off with, I just placed my hook through some of the bands here and just pulled. So I had the band on the end of my hook and I just pulled it through, and I just repeated that until it's hidden. So now you can't see it. Like that. We're going to now make the rocker. You can choose whichever colour you want for this. I'm going to use blue this time. I did use a turquoise here, so I'm going to use a loom, a blue. I'm going to use blue, and of course I'm going to use a loom. Be a bit tricky to do without, although you can do it on your hook, saying that. And we're going to place 2 bands of your chosen colour, and we're going to go right down the loom on one side, so straight from top to bottom. So going all the way down. You could do this multicoloured as well if you wish. I'm just sticking to one colour for now. So this is just if you were making a bracelet, you're just going straight down. Pretty easy, pretty basic. Okay, and then when you get to the end, just leave it, don't cap it. because we need to make another piece to go on this end. So we're going to go along here another 6 times. It doesn't matter where, as long as you've got space to put 6 in. So there's 4, 5 and 6, and then you will need to cap off this last one on the 6. So just take a single band and you're wrapping it around 3 times. 3. Now we need to attach our horse to this rocker part. So we're taking our hind leg, our back leg here, and you're taking your hook and placing it through the black cap band, like so. And we are placing this on, so from the end of your shorter part of the 6, you're placing it on the 6th pin. So if you count the cap band, the one with the cap band round is number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the second from the end. And you're just placing that band around the pin. Oh, sorry, not the camera. Like that. Okay, so you just pull the band out and you've just stretched it around this pin. And now we're going to loop up. So you're going to go inside the cap band and you're just going to loop this straight up. And there's another aeroplane outside. Okay, so you're just going on top and then push the hoof out of the way, loop forward. And then once you've done that, you can remove this part from your loom and add the 4 bands of your rocker onto the end just here. So just stretch them out again, place them over the end like this. Then we'll need to add in the front leg, and this is going on the 7th pin down. So you will need to count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going around this pin here. So I'm just going to take another black band just to place that around there to save me having to count again while I get this on my hook. So again, you're putting it through the cap band, so you only have the black band on. Just going to remove this band. And sorry if it's gone off camera again. It's a little bit stretched out now. So now he's got this hoop around this pin here, and as I said, that's the 7th one down from the top of your loom. And then you can continue to loop up. Try and keep this back bit here as straight as you can. It will want to curl up. And then just go inside that little bit there and just loop forwards. And again, just the bottom 2 bands all the way up. I'm just going to change my hook. It's making my hand ache a little bit because it's too small. But it does come in handy. So you just move the hoof out of the way and just loop all the way up to the end. Now in this part you could incorporate a pipe cleaner to help get the curve. I'm going to use clear bands to try and to get its curve up, otherwise it will just sort of droop downwards and look not that great, if I'm to be honest. And again, we're going to tie this off, so in through the top pin, stick your hook out, single band, just pull it through, oops, like this, on the end, first band over, pull it tight, and then you can take that piece off with your loom, like this. So here we have our rocking horse, looking a bit odd, and mine looks like he's standing in a puddle at the moment. So what we will need to do is make the curve of the rocker. So the first thing I'm going to do is hide this tying off band, same as I did in the face. So I'm just taking my hook, just taking it inside some of the bands here, just pushing it through, taking this band and just pulling it through on my hook, like so. Straighten it out, repeat if you need to till it's hidden. Okay, so I'm just going to do it again because it's still sticking out a little bit. That's a bit better. There we are. So, as you can see, the rocker is straight. So I am going to use some clear bands to curve it up with. So this is what I've done on this one. They're slightly more inconspicuous than normal bands. It makes it a little bit more solid, but as I say, if you can incorporate a pipe cleaner or something similar into this part to make it curved, then that would also be pretty cool. So we're going to use clear bands, so I have clear bands here. And what I'm going to do is, starting on the front part of the rocker, I'm just going to paste my hook through just under where I've tied it off, like this. So you can see there's a tiny little knot here. You'll be able to see on your own one if you can't see on mine. Just slide it through as high up as you can. You're going to take a single clear band and we're just going to pull it through and then place the end back on your hook. We're going to do this a total of 4 times. Okay, so again, try not to twist your bands, but just give a nicer finish if they're not twisted. So 2 and 3 and 4. Like so. And we're going to add this, oh, that's just come untucked again. We're going to add this into the back of the horse. So we're going to remove 1/2 of the final band that we added on. Just let that hang, but just always place it around your finger. I'm going to put it around my finger because I'm like, I'll pull too hard and it'll just come out and I'll have to do it again. Just find some bands sort of in the back of your horse's face, not too high up, and just place them through the back. And you want to pull, if you can, this band through somehow. So I've got both the bands on my finger at the moment, just trying to refresh my memory of how I did it. I'm going to take one band on my finger. So I've got the hook through the back of the horse's face, sort of on his snout, and I've got one of the clear bands on the end of my hook, and I'm going to feed that through. So now the horse's face is on the clear band, and then I'm going to place the other end of the clear band back on my hook. So the back of the horse's face here, there's just 2 bands on it. It's sitting on this band. And then I am going to make a slip knot in the back of it. I'm sorry if you can hear my daughter singing. She's singing very loudly upstairs. So I hope you can't, but I think it's really sweet because she's quite young. So there we go. And what I'm going to do with this end here, I'm going to wrap it around my horse's nose, and I'm going to add on some reins as well. Just keeps it a little bit neater. So I'm just going to place that and twist it, just sort of in this sort of position. And then I'm going to take 2 bands of whatever colour you want. I'm matching mine to the rocker colour, and then you can just place those over the top of that. And if you wish to, you can double it to make it a bit tighter. It's entirely up to you. And just try and cover that clear band. If you can't, don't worry, just sort of add it in. It will be okay. So there we go. So that's the front part done. I'm going to do the back part. So with this, we just place our hook through the cap band. And again, we're going to use 4 clear bands on this. So just thread it through, pull it on, loop it up. So that's 2. I have to say my daughter is very noisy. I can hear her. Never mind. Okay, so again I've placed both of the bands around my finger. Just going to do it so they're not too crossed over. And this time we're going to go into the base of the tail. So you just want to, anywhere in the tail, just place your hook through 2 bands in the tail. I know they're doubled, they're quite small, but it is doable, I promise you. Place one of the bands, the clear bands, on the end of your hook and just carefully pull that through, and then take the other band on your hook like this. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see. If I sort of pull it, then it might make it a bit, so it's like this. So it's gone through a couple of the little bands in the tail, and then both ends of the same band are on my hook. And again, I'm going to slip knot it. Like that. And you can just tuck this end back through these clear bands. So the same way as we did with the rocker and with the face, just take the hook in through some of the bands. Just mind these loops, they do get in the way. But I think a horse without a tail, a proper tail, will look very peculiar. So just hide that in there. And there we have our rocking horse. Last thing we need to do is just cut these bands, which may sound like a waste. You can leave them looped if you wish, but this is it with it cut. So if you want to cut it, you can cut it like that. If not, you can leave it looped. I'm going to snip mine. So I'm just going to go through and just cut the loops. So you're just going through all of the loops and just cut them, just mind your fingers. If you are little, you may need to get a grown-up to do this for you. Okay, when you're doing up here, just make sure there's no bands. I don't think there's any bands that we've tied off with, is there? So we should be good to cut them. Previous versions I've done of this, I had a tying off band up the top. I was just being really careful not to cut it, but we haven't got it on this version. So just cut through all of the little looped bands. So there's one there I've missed, and that will make like the hair of the mane and of the tail. And there we have our rocking horse. So as I said before, if you want to hang this up, you can just thread a band through, like we did down here with the clear bands. You can just loop a band through here if you wanted to hang it. So there we go, there's our rocking horse. So I hope you've enjoyed making this design. I have to say. Yeah. Sorry, mind went completely numb then. Saw the rocking horse making things. Anyway, please hit like and comment on this tutorial. Let me know what you think of the design and of my tutorial, of my video. Please hit subscribe to be notified when I add new tutorials, which at the moment is every couple of days. I do have quite a lot of designs that I'm trying to make for you. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Sally's Looming. If you'd like to find me on there, follow me. I do follow back. And you can make any requests you want to make. You can comment, you can share pictures of your finished designs, which are always lovely to see. I'm also on Facebook, so if you'd like to search Sally's Looming, all one word, and you'll find my group on there, where you can do the same with requests and comments and pictures. And that's that. So, I hope you like your little rocking horse. I think it's quite cute. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.